To order, and we will jump right into the chair's report. You may have noticed we've often opened the meeting with open public comment. I want to call out the fact we don't have that right now because as chair, I've put in a very slight change in policy for public comment, with the end goal of changing as little as possible. And the only thing is, rather than full open public comment, we'll still be soliciting public comment as much as we're able and as much as reasonable, both on the things that of course legally require public comment, but this board has never been shy about accepting public comment. The only reason to remove open public comment is to make sure that the comment we're receiving is topical and relevant to the work of the board. Now you might say, but Matt, what if I want to comment on something that isn't on the agenda, you're not going to talk about? Drop me an email. Once the planning office is fully staffed, email the planning office, they'll get it on the agenda. But until that's happening, drop me an email. I can tell you my goal is for pretty much everything that comes in, we'll put it on the agenda. And if it's something that needs board discussion, we put it in the board discussion section. If it's I want to speak my piece, we'll put it in the beginning, okay? The goal is not to stifle public comment. The goal is to make sure it's topical and that we can address it in a way that is most beneficial for everyone involved. So, next thing I want to point out is I did say almost everything. What if it's that rare exception that I feel is inappropriate for the meeting? I want to already tell you the workaround for that, because one of the things I actually enjoy doing is telling people how to subvert my plans, because that's kind of somewhat how democracy works, right? If you were to come to me and I say, look, that really isn't appropriate for the planning board agenda, I'm not the only person on the planning board. I set the agenda, but go to other members of the board. Tell them that it should be on. If I get feedback from the board, my role as chair is elected by the board. I'm on the board because I'm elected by the town. The chair role is elected by the board. So if it's a case where you're saying, I really want this on the agenda, Matt said no, and I think that's incorrect, and this would be not just for comment, but for other things too. Go to the rest of the board. If the board is saying, hey, we should be looking at this, they're probably right and I'm probably wrong. We should be looking at this. So I want to make sure you know how I have trouble imagining almost very few things that would come through that would be an issue. And I want to give you that workaround up front. Okay, let's make sure I hit the top. Yeah, those are what we want to say on that. A couple more chairs report, high end, just kind of big items, not big, but like, I guess not big, but just kind of happening, not within the framework of the meeting. I want to let the board know that the Open Space Committee, Mike Toohill, their chair, has written to me, and as part of convening the what was called the Town Bylaw Committee, but really the people who edit the charter. The Open Space Committee would like to move from being an ad hoc committee of the planning board to a standalone committee. And they asked to be on this meeting, given the number of high profile, like big things we need to work through. I asked them to move to our first meeting in November, so Mike will be joining us for the first meeting in November to have that discussion. But I want to let us know that's up and coming. And I don't know every detail of how that would look yet. That's why we're going to talk about it.
Can I put in a request that we rewrite all the zoning bylaws from zero?
Like
just scrap the whole thing and start again?
Like, while Mike's here?
No, as for the bylaw review committee.
You don't mean, well.
Because that's the bylaw and it needs to be changed.
So I admit, this is the first time that I've been in a position of relevance in town and the bylaw committee has convened. And I was kind of surprised, right? Because I'm like, planning board puts forward a good handful of bylaw changes every year. And the way it was explained to me is this more charter. Adam, you have more experience with that than I.
Well, if it's the charter, I've got other things too.
That's fair. Well, they are meeting.
Okay, well, I'll
They
write
are
them a
doing
nice little
things,
note.
and yes, in fact, I agree and would love to do a full ground-up zoning rewrite. I don't know if that's within the time frame of what the committee is doing, but, yeah, you and I have talked about that individually before, and I agree with that. Logic behind that, by the way, just because people go, why would the people in planning not, like, why would they want to scrap all of our zoning bylaws and redo it? The answer is because it's like a New England house, right? You got your tiny little old colonial, the next generation adds a room, the next generation adds a floor, then they kind of add a porch, and at some point, you've got this really charming structure that maybe doesn't work as well as a house anymore, and it's kind of this ramshackle amalgam. They're charming. I love that. That's how my house is put together. Maybe not the best model for our laws, though, and there's a time you look at it and say, let's take all these good ideas we've had over the years and put them back together in a way that makes sense, because things might reference each other incorrectly, and it's often sometimes better just to build from the ground up.
Burn it down.
The other detail I just wanted to tell people is if you were to swing by the planning office, with Jen Daigle having left, it's not occupied currently. But that means construction. They began with, we're going to be in Ritter at least 5 years, right? Before we can get a new municipal building plan together, and then before construction would possibly be done on such a building, 5 years minimum. To that end, the planning office, besides getting a fresh coat of paint like the rest of Ritter is, it looks real nice. Not much, but just based on feedback from multiple admin assistants over the past several years, they're more delineating the space of where the admin assistant is with a counter and a little bit of a semi-height wall, to basically, because the accessible entrance is through there, to make everything a little nicer, improve flow better, just make the whole place more inviting too. So that will be nice, and if no one is currently working in the office, this is the time to do it. That is all I have for the chair's report. Okay, hop back to my agenda. Okay. Next up on our agenda for the meeting would be an approval not required, which is still a funny name, an A&R for 930 Mass Ave. So do we have is anyone in the room for that, or is there someone online for the A&R for 930 Mass Ave?
I am here, sir.
Okay, great. Please, take it away.
My name is Mike Dahlberg. I am the land surveyor that prepared this plan for,
Oh, I'm going to ask you to pause for 1 minute, not for you. Is that a little garbled for others? Okay.
It's a little low.
In the booth, can you raise that volume a little bit? Right now. Okay. Let's go ahead and try again.
my name is Mike Dahlberg. I am the land surveyor that prepared this plan for Unitil / Fitchburg Gas and Electric. And they are purchasing some surplus land from Gail Okerman, adjacent to their substation, which sits south of Massachusetts Avenue behind her house. And it is a separate tract that she purchased years ago. And that would be absorbed into the Unitil piece, map 71, lot 64. And we're asking for your signature on this so Unitil can move forward with their plans for their expanded substation.
Okay, great. Could you talk us through the plans just a little bit in terms of what's being moved?
So,
And I've got the plan up on the screen, as you can probably see, and if you need me to move the view at all, just let me know.
okay, Gail Oakman will retain 2.89 acres adjacent to her house with direct access to Massachusetts Avenue. And that lot complies with the zoning in terms of minimum size and lot width at the structure. In the backland, which is labeled parcel A on that sheet one, a little lower down. Yep, to the south of the stone wall, directly adjacent and west of the existing substation, as indicated as map 71, lot 64. That acreage, parcel A, would be conveyed to Unitil, and it's 3.95 acres. And that extends southerly to map 71, lot 63, and map 71, lot 62, about 500 feet north of West Street. And that would, again, attach to the current Fitchburg Gas and Electric property, which runs to West Street, which is shown on sheet 2.
Which is this plan, correct? Or, no, wrong one, my apologies, separate page.
The
on this.
second page of the other.
Yeah, it is, sorry, my mistake.
No problems. Yeah, so that's the Unitil owns a strip that runs from their substation down to West Street. And they are looking to pick up, again, parcel A from Okerman, so they can, work their substation expansion.
All right. Questions from the board?
Nope.
My only, is that a 40-foot frontage on West Street? Is it? Oh, but I guess that's not changing, so.
Correct.
Okay, yeah, all right. I'm going to ask a couple questions that we do ask typically of all of our applicants, and they're not going. Some of these questions aren't necessarily, or really, I think the big one I'm going to ask doesn't affect our decision up here. For those watching out here, on an ANR, for the board to endorse it, there's very specific legal requirements. However, because we're only allowed to look at very specific legal requirements, we've had applicants in the past make problems for themselves, where they divide up the law in a way that is technically legal, but messes up other plans they have. So we generally ask applicants to do certain things and get feedback. The feedback's irrelevant. We ask them to do it because we just want to make sure they get that feedback. So we're trying to prevent an issue. I'm not worried about this with Unitil, frankly, but I want to be thorough like we always are. Have you reached out to the Board of Health on this?
We have. We are doing a Title V inspection on the Okerman house on the schedule for Friday. And I am also a licensed septic designer, and the lot area around the Okerman house and the soil type is more than adequate to handle that septic load. And I firmly believe that what we're doing here will not affect that ability whatsoever.
Great. And again, he could have said, yeah, we did, and it's awful, and we're not allowed to consider that. But it's kind of starts some conversations. Great. If there's no other questions from the board,
To endorse.
I would look for a motion such as to endorse the A&R for 930 Mass Ave.
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Rock and roll, you're all set. Do you have a representative here tonight? Great.
There was supposed to be somebody from
Oh,
Unitil.
I see in the back, perfect. Then what we're going to do is we're going to sign that Mylar right now and hand it to you. Okay?
Oh, that's awesome.
Great, thank you. A&R is all set. Let's get that Mylar out of the way.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you.
Holy paper, Batman.
I grabbed it the first time.
Yep.
Proud of myself.
Brian wanted to make sure we were equipped, so sent us everything we might need. I'll sign too, but that, yep.
Like 3 Forest worth of paper copies?
We still have some of those requirements, the multiple paper copy requirement on the books. And that's one of the things that the boards, once we have a full-time planner, one of the things we want to do is, we've moved digitally so much, we can trim. We've trimmed that list of number of paper copies in the past, but this way we can trim it more. Where's the, there we go. This is vaguely, okay. And we can hand that signed Mylar to our,
This, no, this.
No, that's just a transfer.
no, that's just, no, just the one, the signed Mylar sheet, nothing else.
Oh, just to sign mine?
Yep, because the rest is
All this
ours.
paper back.
Oh, no.
I, one of the reasons we do this, an A&R has a 21-day turnaround window. It's one of the shortest we have by statute. So we try to bring the Mylar with us, get it signed, give it to the applicant right away. I mean, in part because it's one of those things that if we don't do everything we have to within 21 days, they get, it's considered an approval anyway. So rather than make them wait in case we forget to sign or it's hard to get people in, sign it, get it taken care of. All right.
What do they buy these chairs for? The Lollipop Guild?
Thank you. I'm going to, because I'm running the Zoom and screen sharing tonight, I'm switching between a few windows, so do give me a moment just as I hop back and forth. We have 3 public hearings to, oh, good. I lost my second screen, so I unplugged it. That's not, that'll fix. We have 3 public hearings tonight, the first of which is for 255 Sunny Hill Road for a stormwater permit. And then we have our public hearings for the MBTA Communities bylaw and a very quick change to our common driveways bylaw. So first, of course, we'll hit the 255 Sunny Hill Road.
I just have to pull up the,
Oh, I have, if you want, I have that here on my computer.
do you? I will take it.
If you put it next to the podium, the camera can pick it up and the folks in the audience can see it on screen and at home.
Okay.
So sort of angle it towards
Yeah, so,
the stage, a
wait.
little bit.
yeah, so point him.
There you go.
Yeah, perfect. And let me get the language on that. Amanda, do you want to hop over to my mic and read it, just
Yeah,
because it's
I
on
can
this
do that.
screen? We can, you can kick my stuff out of the
No,
way. too.
all good. The Lunenburg Planning Board will hold a public hearing on Monday, October 27th, 2025 at 6:05 PM, Town Hall, 17 Main Street, Lunenburg, Mass., to hear and review an application for stormwater management permit, PBSW-25-4, 204-1 of the Code of the Town of Lunenburg by Justin Leclerc of McCarty Engineering. Subject property information, the location is at 255 Sunny Hill Road, Assessor's Map Parcel Number 92, Lot 35. Owner is MCSW 220 LLC at 69 Broad Street in Hollis, New Hampshire, 03049. Materials are available at the planning office at 960 Mass Avenue in Lunenburg, Mass.
Excellent. Thank you very much. Good evening. I am Patrick McCarty. I'm the president of McCarty Engineering. Here tonight, as was just read, to present the stormwater management permit for the lot on Sunny Hill. This lot has a little bit of a storied history, as I believe you're aware. This was originally filed in conjunction with the 3 other lots fronting on Sunny Hill that were created through the A&R process. Unfortunately, there was a couple board members that couldn't initially vote, and then when they were able to vote, we ended up in a 2-2 tie, and so that effectively denied the permit. Essentially, nothing has changed since we were here in 2024 for that, with one very minor exception. Here. There are 2 drainage pipes that discharge onto this site from the abutting property. We weren't originally aware of that because they were covered over with leaves and brush from, years of the changing seasons. So we've since located those, added them to the site plan, and we have culverts proposed underneath the proposed driveway so that flow can continue as it does today to the wetlands that are on the left-hand side of the page. So this has been through the A&R process, so it is its own lot. It has been approved by Conservation Commission. It was peer-reviewed by Graves Engineering last year as part of the 2024 application. We did receive a letter back from Graves at that time that all comments had been addressed and that the design is in conformance with the town's regulations. It also went through, as I mentioned, the Conservation Commission process. It was also peer-reviewed at that time by Goddard Consulting, and an order of conditions has been issued. So the work is typical single-family house construction. We have some tree clearing, we have some grading, we have a house footprint, and a new driveway and a new walkway to the front of that. To mitigate the stormwater increase on the site, we have a pea-stone diaphragm that lines the low side of the driveway, so on your right as you were driving in from Leominster Road. And we have a small infiltration basin here proposed on the side of the driveway for the stormwater, to control the stormwater. So Brian Marchetti and Justin did submit on September 22nd an application that goes through a little bit of the history on the site, and also submitted a drainage narrative that explains how we are in conformance with the bylaw. I don't know that the board wishes me to dive too deep into that, but essentially the light green area is the area of the site that would be cleared and regraded. The dark green to the north of the house is existing woods to remain, so pretty minimal footprint. Driveway in from the street, it comes down from Leominster Road to a low point, then back up to the house, and so the stormwater obviously follows that same grading scheme. Happy to answer any questions or elaborate on any of these points, but we're hoping that the board votes to issue the stormwater permit this evening.
All right, and I would just let the board know that I did review the previous peer review letter from Graves Engineering, and because that was my memory as well, and that is correct. Graves did say that there were no issues with the plan as presented tonight.
So the tax collector has noted that taxes are owed for 25 and 26. Is that accurate? Has that been resolved?
I'm not aware of that.
I don't know, but it can get resolved.
Okay, because we can't issue a permit while there are taxes owed on the property. My additional concerns are you do have increases in peak rate. They are de minimis, but it's across every storm event. So it makes me wonder if there is a way to change the design, whether increasing the rain garden or the pea-stone diaphragm or some grading that will eliminate this, at least across some of the more common storm events. We're seeing more frequent, higher intensity storms, and if we're seeing increase of peak rate of de minimis change in every house that we build, that becomes not de minimis very quickly. Has there been a peer review, Matt, on the two new pipes that were added and the conveyances that were designed under the driveway, because I'd want to ensure that we know what the hydraulic flow from them is and that those two culverts are appropriately sized.
There has not been a new peer
Okay.
review, no. There is only,
No.
there is the old peer review.
Okay.
Right.
Based on the very similar plans, but with those differences, those are differences, yes.
During that hearing process is when we were made aware of that. Obviously, you couldn't see it if you were walking the
Sure.
site, so they were accounted for in that original design, as well as the rates of runoff were in the original design that Graves did peer review on the board's behalf.
The rates of runoff from those pipes?
No, the rates of runoff from our proposed development that you just mentioned.
I
prior to
understand,
the
but I wasn't on the board then, and
Yep.
I'm looking at it now, and our bylaw says that we're not supposed to allow for increase in peak rate. There's an increase in peak rate, and I'm inquiring if there's a way for you to sharpen your pencil and reduce that peak rate, at least in the more frequent storms. I think de minimis is a subjective standard, and while I can agree that, you know, a .4 CFS increase may be de minimis in a 100-year storm, if that 100-year storm is happening not every 100 years, but every 6 months, that can create a potential issue. And as for the culverts, I think it's important that we ensure that they're appropriately sized, because if they're not and the driveway starts washing out, then we've approved something that creates a financial hardship and an environmental concern for the homeowner and for the town.
I understand that you weren't on the board at that time, and I imagine you read the cover letter so you can see the history of how we got to where we are. And frankly, a denial at that time by that board because they didn't like the current regulations that's a first for me in 25 years of doing this, right? So we split it
I
off.
disagree with you, and I just don't want to
Yeah,
relitigate
I
what
just,
happened.
I don't want to, so my client has suffered because of the actions of the board, and I get it that it wasn't this board, but it was still actions of the town of Lunenburg. We've suffered the delay and the costs and everything that goes along with that bad decision.
And you
And-
had a remedy through the legal system, which you chose not to take. You've chose to refile the
Right.
permit.
Refiled
So-
based on the peer review that was said, this is good, last September. Graves issued two letters on two separate occasions. It says, no further comment, this meets the town's regulations. So that's what we're hanging our hat on. It would be unfortunate to reopen that now and have the expense of another Graves peer review and additional time delay for the applicant when they get
Okay,
honestly
well-
served a raw deal the first time they came before the board with
Again,
this.
you had a remedy through the legal system at that time. You chose not to exercise it. I'm not going to put my vote to approve this without understanding that those culverts are appropriately sized.
Yeah.
Again, I can probably find a way that the CFS increase may be de minimis. Again, I think it would be
Right.
great if we could find a way to
Right, we
reduce
also
that.
have a legal remedy for those two culverts because they're discharging onto property that they don't own,
Okay.
right? But we honestly, after the denial last time, of course, we reached out to an attorney on our client's behalf at their request, and they said, what do you think? His words back, slam dunk.
Okay.
But they didn't choose to litigate with the town, nor are they choosing to litigate with the abutter. They're trying to do right by the project and saying, okay, their water's been going there, we'll let it keep going there, we'll just provide culverts under the driveway,
And that's fine. I don't
which
have an
we're
issue with that.
confident, based on our design and our stamp that's on the plan, that those are adequate.
I would like the town to have a review that confirms that.
Now, do we have, what I'm wondering, and you would know this more from your experience as a planner than, it sounds like our peer review needs may be more specific this time. Am I hearing that?
Yeah, I have a
correctly?
very specific concern about the sizing of the culvert. I don't think it's an entire relitigation of the project. I think it's here's the project that was done, the information hasn't changed, this addition was added, and this is the flow from these culverts.
Are we able to send only the key questions forward?
I don't see
We're
why
not, so, and
Trying to
I,
save you,
I appreciate that,
Save you
and
some
I
money.
do. So one is a 4-inch foundation drain, perimeter drain, right? And the other one is from a drain that they installed in their yard. We didn't do any sizing, we simply took the size of their pipes, so the 4-inch, and I believe it's a 10-inch on the uphill side, and we simply said extend those to the other side of our driveway. We're not changing the incoming flow conditions, we're
So
not
are you
changing the
marrying
upstream
the
side.
pipes and running them under the
That's
driveway?
it, that's all we're doing.
Okay, the way you explained it,
No, extend existing drain, extend existing 4-inch drain. All we're doing is taking them where they discharge and bringing them to the other side of our driveway.
and was the outflow from those modeled in your original?
No, because they don't go into our rain garden. They go direct to the resource area where they currently go. So they don't impact our stormwater. We have nothing to do with the flow that's coming through them. We're simply making them 30 feet longer.
Then I guess I wouldn't call it a culvert, I would call it an extension of the pipe, because
Okay.
to me, culvert says you're
Open-ended.
installing an open-ended pipe that's
No, no,
carrying
we're
surface
extending
water,
those
which,
across.
again, is a much different condition, in my opinion, than.
Yeah, my mistake. We do have a culvert here that's always been on the plan.
Yes.
Where that kind of open swale runs.
And what's the material for those pipes that you're intending to install?
The one is, the lower one, the perimeter drain, that's 4-inch, I would say.
No, material.
Plastic.
Okay. I would like them to be sheathed in concrete as they traverse the driveway.
all right.
So put an RCP and you can run the plastic through it, or have the plastic marry into an RCP if it's going to be
It's
under the driveway.
4-inch. They don't make 4-inch RCP.
Okay, then or HDPE. Are they HDPE or are they PVC?
The lower one is 4-inch PVC,
Okay.
typical foundation drain, perforated pipe
Yeah.
that you put on every foundation. The upper one, I believe, is already HDPE.
Okay.
And you know for a fact? It is.
I'd like them both to be HDPE if you're going to put them under the driveway.
Sure. I disagree with your logic on the Schedule 35 is actually a more durable pipe, in my opinion, for the 4-inch, but if that's your opinion,
I've seen too much PVC break under driveways.
It's a schedule.
That's fine.
Schedule 80.
That's fine.
Exactly what we always put on the job.
That's fine.
Okay, you know what?
It's
That,
made for.
All right.
Obviously, we can't act tonight because the taxes, we
Correct.
weren't aware of that
Yeah.
until this evening. We can resolve that.
and is the Concom permit in the portal? I don't think I saw it. The
Order conditions?
order conditions, yeah.
Yeah, that was issued.
I know it was issued, we don't have a copy of it.
Oh, in this permit portal?
Yeah,
No, but we can certainly upload that.
okay.
Thank you.
And this is curiosity questions, I don't know that it necessarily is applicable to the stormwater permit. What's the riverfront disturbance on the lot?
Oh, there's no work within the 100.
It's all outer riparian?
It's all outer riparian.
Is it?
The 100-foot riverfront area. is
Correct.
down here.
So the whole thing is in the 200?
Correct.
And you stayed under the 10% for the entire lot? For all four together? And the driveway is a wetland crossing, correct? I thought plans aren't always easy to read on the computer, but if I remember correctly, there's some replication necessary?
No. Oh, there's wetland replication.
Yeah, Patrick, it is.
There is, yep.
Do we know what that square footage is?
No, like I said, it was July of 2024 that the commission approved and issued the order.
Okay. And they waived the work and the no-touch?
That wasn't, Brian and Justin that worked for me handled that, but I know that an order was issued and
All
has
right,
been
yeah, I would just
recorded.
like, if you could upload the order. So, I mean, I guess my biggest thing is I would like to, the taxes to be paid and to see the order that was issued.
Okay.
Yep, can handle that.
And if you could upload the Graves letter
Yes.
to the portal, that would be helpful as well.
Absolutely. I'm going to add that to my notes as well. Making sure I have those complete. Okay. I am going to take this moment. This is a public hearing. I'm going to see if we have any public comment on this. If you are at home and have public comment on Zoom, do use that hand raise feature so I know and I can make sure to call on you. Come on up, Anna, and you know the rigmarole for
Yeah.
public meetings.
Anna Lockwood, 91 Main Street. So I don't like this lot at all, where they're building. There's a lot of wetland there. It's incredible to me that they're able to squeeze another property there. And the comment that I'll make is that the previous speaker, he was not happy with the board's decision from last year, but now that Adam's questioning him, he's also not happy that he's being asked new questions. So you got to pick one. We live on the decision of the past, or is Adam Burney allowed to ask the questions and have his concerns addressed? So thank you, Adam, for bringing your concerns to light, and I think you're very well justified. Even if they have to do another review, it's not your burden, it's their burden. And if they want to be with the burden from last board, the last board made a decision, so.
All right. Thank you, Ms. Lockwood. Any other public comment?
Kenneth Patton, 290 Leominster Road.
Christopher Hurlbut, 469 Sunny Hill Road.
Okay. We're abutters to the site. Mr. Chairman, you've been to my lot. I've walked you around the lot. You know, I just heard about complaining that their application was denied back in August of 2024. And I just would remind you that they were going to dig up in my backyard. Do you remember that?
Lightly, yes.
Yeah,
You
that's-
say it, it refreshes it.
Okay.
I remember the walk, I remember all sorts of aspects. I'm not going to say I remember every detail.
Oh, okay. That 6-inch green pipe that goes from my catch basin, I showed you where that was, and we looked at where they were going to dig up. It was 40 feet, and it was on my property. And so that's why, I mean, their design was flawed. That's why it was denied. So let's be clear why it was denied. It was properly denied. So at any rate, we're the abutters, and we will be the most impacted by this project. I do have to say that I consider this a considerable improvement, and I think Chris does too, over the last design that was going to dig up my backyard. We really were just made aware of the latest plans by the developer because of the notice to the abutters.
I'm going to apologize for interrupting. I did not hit the recording button at the start. So I'm gonna hit
Recording
that
in
now.
progress.
They're still taping, so my apologies. Go on.
Okay, so we found out about the status of the project. I always knew it would come back around, but we found out the status about a week ago. So here we are tonight. The developer has not sought our approval or agreement regarding the latest plan, and I just mentioned that they're going to tie onto our pipes. And previously, I did not object to the project. Over all the meetings that we had, I got up and I just tried to clarify, different aspects about my property. Anytime I had an opportunity to talk to the designer, the contractor, conservation, planning, I did. I was up front. Those two pipes, the 4-inch foundation drain and the 6-inch catch basin drain, were installed in the 1980s. There was no boundary there at that time, or there was no property line. So we just ran over to the approximate location and dumped those two pipes out. So I apologize that they discharge on the abutter's property, but that's how it happened. So, to us, it's important that they coordinate with us. Now, during the previous meetings from last year, I had stood here and said, well, gee, instead of digging up my backyard, couldn't you just extend the 6-inch pipe instead of putting in some kind of a structure and all this stuff? So now we get the plan, and that's what they're doing. Well, okay, I'm good with that, but how about the elevations? Are they just doing this because I suggested it, and then when it doesn't work right, well, you suggested it, that's your problem? And are they going to send me a bill for this? And that goes to a whole nother issue, because in January of this year, the developer sent the two of us a nasty threat, a nasty letter threatening a lawsuit. And I heard a 6-figure lawsuit. And I heard just a few minutes ago that the contractor decided not to proceed with litigation against the homeowner. I assume he's talking about me. Well, nobody ever told me that, or Chris that. As far as we're concerned, this nasty letter is still on the table. We responded to this, and they did not respond back. So it's just in limbo. So I'm worried that this is still on the table, and I'm worried that they're going to send me a bill for anything they do. That's all I have to say about that. We want to be reasonable. I've had a lot of communications with everybody involved. They're all likable people. You get out in the field, they're all likable people. I admire contractors. they're trying to get their job done, I understand, but don't send me this, please. So at any rate, what we want is if they are going to tie onto our pipes, we want them to coordinate with us, to explain to us that, hey, the elevations are going to work out. And oh, by the way, the plan doesn't show the spring. There's a spring right on the property line. And so at any rate, there's been a lot of discussion about the spring. I think that's why things got confused and they were gonna dig up my property 40 feet from where the pipe actually is. So at any rate, what our requests are, we have a few requests here, is that that the contractor designer share with us specifically how his plan impacts our properties. Itemize the plan's use of our systems such as drains and pipes. Provide acceptable upfront written release of these meritless claims that have threatened against us, all of which are a lot of money. You know, if it wasn't for these threats, I wouldn't even be here talking. I would just let this go through. But, you know, here I am. Thank you. Anything else, Chris?
So again, I'm Christopher Hulbut, 469 Sunny Hill Road. So I'm Ken's neighbor, and I'm another abutter to the property in question. I just wanted to take a couple seconds just to reiterate and hit on some of the key points that Ken said. So we have not been made aware of the changes to the plan. Okay, so I mean, this is sort of the first that we were hearing about it. We're trying to catch back up. It certainly involves sort of tying into the pipes and the things that are on or near the property line. And, you know, the developer also hasn't sought out our approval, our agreement. It's like almost like we've been bystanders up until this point. And we, again, Ken mentioned this, the threat of the lawsuit has been looming for probably the better part of the year now. And that's not to be taken lightly. You know, these are six-figure damages we're talking about. This isn't a few $1,000s, okay? This is a significant amount of money. And we feel that these claims are absolutely baseless and meritless. And like Ken said, we're reasonable people. We want to do what's right. But at the same time, we are asking the planning board here to defer the approval. And it sounds like it was going to be deferred anyways for a few other reasons. But we're asking the planning board to defer the approval of this until we have a chance to work out, because we want at least two things to happen here. We want clarity on what the details of the plan are and how it's going to impact our properties as well. It's just an understanding and clarity, right? Because again, this is the first time we've seen this plan. And the second thing is, we want a written agreement that if we approve and agree to this plan and move on, so everybody can move forward, we want written agreement that all of these threats of lawsuits and damages and six-figure digits, like, they go away. I think that's it.
Great. Thank you very much.
I want to understand, Mr. Chair, what the concern is about impact to the abutters' properties. Like, what impacts are you concerned about?
So,
For either of the abutters?
yeah.
Well, the change they're going to make to my two pipes, those pipes belong to me. One of them is my foundation drains. When I first purchased the property over 40 years ago, I moved in, water was bubbling up through my my cellar floor. So me and another guy, I won't get too wordy here, we rented a jackhammer. We jackhammered 3 60-foot-long trenches. We hand dug it out, and we put in some stone and some pipe, and we ran it over, just to get my foundation drained.
I understand what a foundation drain is. What are you concerned is going to be the impact to your property?
Just that these pipes have the proper elevations so that they flow.
Okay, so you keep saying they're your pipes, and you understand that they're on his property.
Right.
So you're asking him for approval to do work on his own property from you.
On my pipes.
But they're his pipes because possession is 9/10 the law. They're on his property. So he could just cut them off, bury them at the property line, and move on. Or you can work with him in a reasonable way. I understand that you want to understand this plan, and I think that makes sense. I think that's reasonable. But those pipes are on his property. And so he purchased that property. I am sure it says with all buildings, appurtenances, and easements. And these pipes would be the appurtenance, so they become his pipes. I also want to be clear, my position is this board has no authority over any civil legal action between private property owners. We cannot hold up a permit based on a desire or a want to eliminate any civil legal action. That is completely outside of the town's jurisdiction. That's 2 private parties or 3 private parties having their own discussion. I understand your concerns. I would invite you to review these plans. I don't know what your background is. I don't know what your ability to read plans are, but they do depict that the outlet for both pipes is at least 5 feet below the elevation of your property line. So I failed physics in high school, but my understanding is water doesn't run uphill, so you can take some solace in that. I haven't had a great chance to review if they have a section of the elevation of that pipe. I think that would be a reasonable thing for this board to request, so that we could understand what the pitch of that pipe is. But it's traveling. I just lost it. It looks like it's traveling probably somewhere between 60 and 80 feet, and it's going down 5 feet, so that's 12. So what is that, about an 8% pitch? Again, not a mathematician, but so 8% pitch is pretty good, and it's going to keep that water moving. I think those are reasonable things for you to want to understand, but I also want to be clear that the outlets to those pipes are on the applicant's property, and he can do work on his property as he wishes. Now, the previous history I wasn't involved in, so I can't speak to that, but the legal aspect I don't think we have a role in. So I would encourage you and the applicant to have a conversation between now and our next meeting, which is
On the
10th.
10th.
10th, thank you.
So 2 weeks.
Okay. Thank you.
All right.
Thank you. That would have been my response as well. So if there's any other comments from the public, we're happy to answer. If not, we would obviously request a continuance till the next meeting so that we can straighten things out with the collector tomorrow. And then in the meantime, Justin will upload the order of conditions to the portal, so that's available for the board to review.
Okay, great. I just want to look out again and see, do we have any other public comment? Seeing none here or in Zoom. Oh, Mr. Patton?
Just one other comment. On, on the approval from the Conservation Commission, the property line has shifted. There's been a change in the property line. It's moved 8.8 feet away from my property. And I found out about that from the surveyor that came and made the correction. So I had a conversation with Mary Wilson. It was just a phone conversation, and she said because of that change in the property line, they would have to go back to the Conservation Commission. So
Can you clarify what you mean by the property line moved 8 feet
That's-
away from your property?
Was going to be my question.
So if, I'm talking about the property line between my lot and the developer's lot, right here, okay? And you see these three, those three property lines, the way they come in, there's a little squiggle there. Well, if you look at the drawing from August 20, the vote on August 26, 2024, you'll see that the property line is further away from my driveway. And it impacts the amount of replication that the contractor has to do. Or it might. I can't say it does. But the property line moved 8.8 feet. That's what the surveyor told me. He gave me a drawing that just showed where it is now and where it had been. So the property line moved. If you compare the two plans, you'll see the property line is further away from my driveway. And it's real easy to see if you look at that tree that's up near Leominster Road. It's right up here at the property line. It shows up on the plan that I downloaded, but the property line goes right through that tree. And from the drawing from last year, it goes near the road, near my driveway.
I do have the previous file available on my computer if you want me to screen share it.
That would be great.
Okay, wonderful, I can do that. Let me just prep that a little bit.
That's all I have.
So, Adam, and for those looking at home, here, do you see my mouse?
You're not
Yeah.
sharing it.
Okay. Here is the tree that Mr. Patton is mentioning as a reference point. And the squiggle that Mr. Patton was referencing, if you follow the property line down, here on these plans, it appears to be three straight lines meeting at a point. I will switch to the current plan. And you can see that on these plans, the property line passes through that tree, and the three lines do not seem to convene at one point.
The reason it changed is because the new plan shows a stone boundary where the three lots come together. if you look at the old plan, there's no stone boundary. And the reason that, so the surveyor had never found that stone boundary. And then I pointed it out to him, and that's how the correction got made.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Patton.
We agree.
Okay.
Yeah.
Could you say that into the microphone, please?
Yeah. We do agree with that. And the current plan that's before you reflects that.
Okay.
It doesn't have an impact on the design, just that the property line moved.
No, worth us
Yeah,
worth
worth
us
going-
understanding what's
Yep.
going on there.
Agreed.
Does it change the square footage of the lot being applied for?
What do we change?
Well, if the
area-
property line moved 8 feet in one direction, is it we had it incorrectly located geospatially, or was it assumed that 8 feet by, I'm
No.
ballparking 180
At
feet?
first, it was,
It's just geospatially
Yeah.
different?
yeah.
So it doesn't impact your replication numbers, your riverfront percentage, or your
I
setback
don't
from
believe
wetlands?
so. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Maybe I should just stay up.
Yeah. I know it's hard.
I don't believe so, but I'll ask
I think
Brian and
that's a
Justin
question
tomorrow to
that we should-
verify that it doesn't
Yeah.
impact any of those conservation-related
And
numbers.
not that we can't approve without conservation, but if we approve and you have to go back to them and they want you to change, you get stuck in a loop. So,
I don't believe so, based on my conversations with both of them this afternoon, but
Okay.
I'll verify, and one of them will send correspondence to you.
And if you do need to speak while referencing your plans, I can ask the booth to bring out another microphone. We do have battery-operated ones for the table.
No,
So if you're,
thank you, I appreciate that.
if you find yourself in that position, say the word. They're happy to bring it out for us.
Sounds good, thank you.
PAC is wonderful. All right. Okay, so any other public comment? Hearing none, I will turn to the board and say, do we have any further questions for the applicant before, they've said they would look for a continuance to our next meeting, but do we have other questions first?
no, I will consider the PVC if they want to submit something, a spec sheet for it going under the driveway. The applicant seems as if that's what he'd prefer to use, so if you want to give us something, I'm not opposed to continuing the PVC.
Do you have, I'll turn to the applicant and ask, do you have any questions of the board and what the board is likely looking for? Try to make sure that everyone has all the information that they need.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Yeah, I believe we're good, and like I said, we'll square away the tax issue. I did receive a text message from the applicant, and he said there's actually some confusion with the lot lines, so it's not as simple as going and paying. It's getting it correct in the assessor system, so he'll follow up on that tomorrow.
Okay.
And then we'll verify the conservation numbers haven't changed as a result of the property line change, and we'll upload a copy of the order of conditions and send an email note that those have been uploaded to the portal, and the pipe material.
Great. So sounds good out there? We good up here?
Great.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
In that case, and you'd like our first meeting in November, correct?
Yes.
November 10th, okay. I would look for a motion such as to continue this public hearing for 255 Sunny Hill Road for the stormwater permit to our meeting on November 10th, 2025 at 6:05 PM.
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded, all in favor?
Aye.
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 Thank you very much.
Great, thank you. Okay. So we have two more public hearings ahead of us tonight. One is for MBTA Communities bylaw change, and one is for common driveways. I am going to assume that the common driveways has fewer people looking to speak. If you are here to speak exclusively for common driveways, could you give me a wave right now? That is not surprising. It's literally eliminating one sentence, but in case I misread the room. All right. Now, these are two separate, do these public hearings, Adam, I'd ask you,
They are separate, yes.
and they have to be open separately, correct? Or can we open them together?
The way it's written, it's both of them together.
But that is for the, that is, no. That wording. Wrong! That wording is because it lets us put in out only one ad, even
Okay.
though they're separate public
I would
hearings?
open them, you can open them together. They can run concurrently. It's
Okay,
fine.
great. That would be easy. No, basically, that lets us save money getting the ad in the ledger.
Yeah.
Sorry, that came out like real. Madam Clerk, please, go ahead.
Madam Clerk, okay. The Lunenburg Planning Board will hold a public hearing on Monday, October 27th, 2025, at 6:05 PM, Town Hall, 17 Main Street in Lunenburg, Mass., to make a recommendation to Annual Town Meeting 2025 to the Code of the Town of Lunenburg, Mass., to conform with the MBTA Communities Compliance Zoning Amendment 250-4.19, Multifamily Overlay District MGLC 40A 3A, and to make an amendment to the Code of the Town of Lunenburg, Mass. 250-6.4C, 7C6, by removing bituminous concrete requirement from common driveways. That sound right?
Yep.
Yeah, okay. You can view materials via an email request to the planning office, planning@lunenburgma.gov, or in person at the planning office at 960 Mass Avenue in Lunenburg.
Rock and roll, everybody. This is it. My goal, although we've opened both at once, I am going to start with MBTA communities. We're going to go till we're done with MBTA communities and then move on to the common driveway, removing bituminous concrete. Okay. The community scale did get back to us with changes that we requested. And just, again, let me pause for a moment. Because for the board, we talked about this recently for some prep work at previous meetings, not as the public hearing. But now it's the public hearing, so I should back up a little. This is about the MBTA Communities bylaw. This is the MBTA Communities law is certainly a controversial law in this state, where the legislature effectively passed a 3-sentence law that was then left to be fleshed out and kept getting repeatedly fleshed out about increasing what's called missing middle housing, medium density housing. It's worth understanding that what is overall, in a planning sense, referred to as medium density housing, in Lunenburg, our densest developments fall within mid-density housing. Because, in actual urban environments, it can get far denser. It mandates a certain amount of additional mid-density housing be zoned. Excuse me. In all communities that have an MBTA station or are adjacent to a community with an MBTA station. We are adjacent to Shirley, we are adjacent to Fitchburg, we're adjacent to Leominster. All of them have T-stops. Therefore, we're subject. In the we've been talking this over in different ideas for a couple of years. In the spring, we had public info sessions where we presented a few different options to the town. The overwhelming input from the townspeople was to take credit for the hard work we've already done. Lunenburg is was the first community in the state to pass a 40R smart growth district. Because our district is old enough, we're allowed to use that district as part of our calculations and how we figure it. Ultimately, the planning board decided to take our 40R district, we know it in town as Tri-Town, that development, and bump up the units per acre by 4. From 22 units per acre is how it's currently zoned to 26 units per acre. Doing this will meets our state requirements, and that's it. Tri-Town overall is a well-established district. It is well taken care of. It is a good place. It isn't at risk of immediate redevelopment because economically it doesn't make sense. You don't bulldoze a successful development to add a few units per acre. That isn't a good use of anyone's funds. That means the changes that are in this bylaw are not, speaking my opinion, but I think others would echo it, are not likely to take place until those buildings are at actual end of life. We're talking, you're easily talking, 30 years there, right? So this isn't a scenario that is likely to have a big input or big impact on Lunenburg. That was the feedback from the townspeople. Go for what's called paper compliance, or in this case, taking credit for the work we've already done, and nice, easy, and smooth sailing. Now, we have a whole bylaw that gets into all this and has a lot of details, because if you're going to make some changes, and if there's a potential for change in the future, at least try to do it right. We've all seen what happens when people aren't forward-thinking. It helps no one. So I just wanted to give some background on that for all of our friends at home. I'm going to open to the board for some general comments and thoughts. And once we're kind of satisfied with that, I think I might turn to the public before we do a nitty-gritty deep dive. And then we can do our nitty-gritty deep dive. Does that work for everyone up here?
It does.
Okay. I'll turn to you, my friends. Do you have additional things to add?
I think, without getting into the details, I think our choice was correct. We'll see in the future if it is correct or not, but it makes the most sense. And we can get into the details later, but.
Okay.
Yeah, I think paper compliance in Lunenburg makes sense. I think so people can kind of understand the scale of what we're talking about. And maybe Tri-Town's more than this, but the densest development in Lunenburg that I'm aware of is Arrive, and that's 8 units per acre. And the MBTA Communities Law requires 15 units per acre, just so you understand what the density of scale is. And I think overall, the state made an attempt to create housing by mandate. I think that they did it in a rushed way that doesn't necessarily aid communities and significantly neglects affordable housing, both capital A and lowercase a affordable. Capital A would be deed restricted housing for people who make 80% of the area median income. We're restricted to only allowing up to 10%. And I think in places like Lunenburg, these developments are going to be less common because of often lack of sewer capacity or the adequate infrastructure and transportation networks to move folks to and from these in the 495 and 128 belt. These are going to become massive luxury condominium developments, and I don't know that that particularly serves the housing crisis. So that's just my general editorial. But in failure to comply, as Milton and a dozen other communities have learned, is certainly not a reasonable option, in my opinion. The town of Milton essentially gave the double freedom rockets to the state and said, come and get me, and the Attorney General said, bet, and took them to the court and cut a switch and beat them with it, and the state said, now you're going to do it. And there were about 12 other communities that appealed the state on a variety of other avenues. It's an unfunded mandate, it's this, it's that, and across the board, the courts, all the way up to the SJC, have handed all of them their hats and said, now go home and do what the Commonwealth told you to do. So I understand everybody's desire to tell Boston to pound sand, and you don't know what it's like here, but I think that we have many other issues that could use the hundreds of thousands, if not millions of dollars we would spend fighting that battle.
Thank you, Adam, and that's a good point. I get into some of this as well. During the public info sessions last year, now a video of that is available on the Planning Board webpage. So you can go there, see that public info session. I think the presentation's about 30-ish minutes, maybe 40, I don't remember exactly. But we do talk through everything that got to where we are. And one of the things we do talk through is the carrot and stick approach. And the reality is kind of the lack of carrot and really big stick approach. It's if you don't comply, first it said, if you don't comply, you won't be able to get these grants. And like many towns, we looked at it and said, okay, we don't get those very often. Kind of stinks, but it's not worth it for us. Then they kept piling on grants. And some towns kept saying, well, no. And then they said, and we reserve the right to sue you into compliance. I mean, as some, they say you can't fight City Hall. Beacon Hill's bigger and more well fortified. So, however, that said, we have a plan that looks good for the town. And I should note that Tri-Town is more dense. Tri-Town was zoned for up to 22 units per acre, was initially built at 17 units per acre. And they didn't, if memory serves, I haven't looked at this detail in a while, they added some more buildings later.
No, it was zoned at 18 an acre, wasn't it? Oh, no, it was approved at 18 an acre.
Yes. It was built up at 17, and then they eventually expanded it to 20 units per acre. They never even got to the 22 units per acre is the point. And so we're taking that area that doesn't seem to have demand for it and adding 4 more units per acre and to 26. And again, if you already have a good housing solution at 20 units per acre, bumping up that percentage that isn't worth it. It's not worth bulldozing everything and rebuilding for that percentile increase, that fractional increase. All right, now we have some details in this about how we're going to handle it, but I'm guessing that most comments here aren't about building placement or about number of driveways entering the road. To that end, I'd like to open public comment. If you are at home and wish to engage in public comment, go ahead and use that hand raise feature on Zoom. If you can't figure out the hand raise feature, just unmute and say, hey, Matt.
You had something?
Yep, but please, come on up.
Hi, Lorraine Rudd, 340 Highland Street. Thank you for your time on this project. I know it was the law. We didn't have a choice. I don't get it. Seems like a punishment for the towns. I don't know who these units are for. Our kids can't afford them. Seniors don't want to go in them. I don't get it. I don't know that towns were able to get that information from the state. I don't know where we're going to go from here. Hopefully, we'll get a new governor next year, God willing. This has to be reversed. The state shouldn't be pushing towns like this. I believe they have a plan to put a train station in Lunenburg. It's coming. So we will be, I've seen it. I saw it. I saw it online.
Well, I think it's, just to be clear, this is from the Baker administration. So this was
I know
approved
that.
in
I know
20
that.
or 21.
Right. During COVID.
I don't know that it will be reversed. I think the units aren't intended for anyone specific. It's a way to create housing. We are in a housing crisis. We're 250,000 housing units short of what the state needs. I don't necessarily know that this is the most appropriate way
The
to
state
create
needs,
housing.
what Lunenburg needs is housing for seniors,
Mm-hmm.
housing for young people, young adults. It's not apartments. So, anyway, if the state ever wants feedback, please let them know that what they have in mind for us doesn't fit.
And I
But thank you
suggest
for
that
your-
you always reach out to your local reps and senators
I do.
and share that information with them.
Thank you very much.
That's actually what I was going to say is, by the way, friends, a lot of people have said to me how unhappy they are with the decision the state legislature has made. If you live in Lunenburg, you are represented, depending where you live, by Representative Kuzmarek or Representative Scarsdale. And both of them are responsive and happy to receive. They're generally happy to receive communication from their constituents, in my experience. That doesn't mean they're going to agree with it, but I have found that they are at least receptive to hearing, and I do think if this is something we don't like, you're going to want to make it clear to the legislature that top-down isn't doing it for you, if that's the case. And if you love it, tell them that too. That's allowed.
Anna Lockwood, 91 Main Street. I have a few questions. So, first of all, I haven't seen a map, and I just, usually like seeing a map exactly where the proposed changes. You're showing me that?
I can-
Where? Oh, that,
Yellow,
okay.
Tri-Town.
So just that.
It's
and
a
they
singular parcel.
Is a single, that was going to be my follow-up. Is it a singular parcel, and does that parcel have more land that they can build? No? Okay.
That was an intentional choice. So yeah, the parcel is, and I was looking because I somewhere have that file, I'm looking for it, but that parcel is Tri-Town Landing, is that the name of it? Tri-Town Landing is that development. It's pretty much maxed out, or is maxed out. And we get to literally just change the zoning on that and call it good. Okay. We're not opening up new areas for dense development with this.
My next question is, this is the development that was called the smart growth, right? Mm-hmm. So Lunenburg receives some money, about $200,000 a year because we developed that smart growth. is that going to go away? Because now we are relabeling things.
But we're not. So the smart growth is an overlay district. So I think I'm going to make assumptions, and if I make anybody feel bad, I'm sorry. We're all old in this room, so we all went to school where they had the transparencies that they put on the
Right.
overlay. So an overlay zoning district, there's a hard zoning district, which is codified on the ground. And you take an overlay, and it's like a transparency on top of that. So Tri-Town, the smart growth district, is an overlay, so it's laid on top of the hard zoning district. And this is another overlay on top of that.
So this is
we have
another-
an overlay on an overlay. And what overlays do is they give you the option of using the existing hard-coded zoning, which is probably, I think it's single-family residential, or the Tri-Town, or now the multifamily overlay.
Okay.
So the $200,000 we get, I think, is optimistic. In
think
the
that's
time that
what
I
it was.
worked for the town, we got anywhere from $0 to $230,000. And they were all inconsistent numbers, all in between. It's dependent on budget and how many students, and it can be up that high, but it's not always. And this shouldn't have an effect on that, because that development that's there was permitted under the smart growth. And as long as we continue to do the 40R annual reports and file for the 40S payments, we should receive them.
Okay.
The development isn't being recoded, we're using the land to overlay this new zoning on top of.
Okay.
And so actually, Anna, if you look at the screen at the back of the room, what you can see is here, you see two overlay districts right there above Young's Road, okay? You can see Summer Street, and then that's the part of town we're in. And the way they are on this key for this map, the red horizontal lines are our smart growth district, the 40R district for Tri-Town, and the blue line is the blue perimeter line is our MBTA communities overlay. They're the same place, and that area is already developed with a housing project. Not every community could do this, especially to take advantage of a 40R district. Because we were forward-thinking, we get to take advantage of that.
So, so we're also not losing the credits for the 40A, 40B, 10% house,
No.
affordable housing?
Nope.
That, because that
that's
whole
about
district.
income restriction, and it's all rental. So 25% of that development is income restricted in perpetuity, and so the entirety of the rental property counts towards
Right.
the town's subsidized housing inventory.
Okay. My other question is, I know some communities, they submit their proposed bylaw changes to the state to get feedback. Has Lunenburg done that? And did we receive feedback from the states regarding the proposed bylaw change as we have it on the meeting booklet?
We are in the process of submitting that. In this case, we've worked with consultants that were hired by brought in by our previous planner with grant money and everything. They effectively took the model bylaw from the state and filled it in with our details. Now, we've gotten back to them and said, hey, we'd like some changes, and that's what you're going to see us discussing up here tonight, a few things about building orientation and things like that.
I think effectively is doing a lot of lifting in that sentence.
What's that?
I said I think effectively is doing a lot of lifting in that sentence.
Did I say the word?
You said they have effectively taken the state's model.
They have literally taken the state's model and plugged in.
Okay, because
But-
the concern I would have, and the reason I asked that question is because if we pass this at a town meeting and it becomes law, and then
So
and then,
I can give you the next steps there. Let me give you the next steps, because so town council has expressed, concern is a very strong word. Town council, I was speaking with them the other day during office hours, and brought up and said, I can envision a world where maybe EOHLC, the housing group, would look at your requirements for building orientation and everything in garages and whatnot and say, this is too much and isn't, and makes it no longer by right. We have it out to EOHLC, or we're in the process of getting it out to them to verify. Because this isn't a big new bylaw, there's a few things to look at. We expect a quick turnaround.
Okay.
If we pass this tonight with our own wording, and EOHLC comes back and says, actually, you can't have X, Y, and Z, then we'll have a floor amendment ready to go at town meeting saying, hey, everybody, here's a couple changes the state wants.
So you expect to receive the feedback prior to town meeting?
That we should, I mean, yes, we should be able to.
You expect, that was the
We,
question.
yeah, we expect to.
Okay,
Yeah.
all right. No, that's good.
Has HLC confirmed that they expect that?
That they expect.
Have they given us a timeline?
No, this is all, again, because we're also last minute here,
Yeah.
unfortunately.
Well, and I only ask because the community I work in did this, and they told us to expect 90 days, and it took 110. But also, we were in the middle of the busiest period of them doing reviews. So I expect it should be a little bit more streamlined at this point.
No, the discussions that I have been privy to have basically said they only have a handful of communities left to check.
That's.
And
makes sense.
of those communities, we're very straightforward with them.
So I want to sort of touch on what your concerns are about if we adopt this and HLC gives us, the
Right.
Family Feud. So bypassing it and then having it denied, my understanding and what I've heard, actually this has been said to me by people at HLC was, if it's passed and there are deficiencies, they're going to be flexible about working with communities to amend those issues and not consider them out of compliance, but what happens is we pass this bylaw and we have to file a certification with HLC. And there's a whole bunch of information that goes into it, and HLC has to do a review and issue a certification or a non-certification. And unless the issues are so wildly out of pocket that they're like, you didn't even try,
Right.
they're probably not going to issue the lack of certification. They're probably going to reach out to the community and say, here's what we find the issues to be. When do you think you can get these corrected? How can we work with you to do that? And they may wait until after May town meeting and say, all right, you've corrected the issues, you've adopted the new bylaw, now just resubmit it as an amendment to the certification packet. So I'm not particularly, even if we don't have their review by town meeting, I'm not particularly concerned about it.
Okay.
And I understand town council's pause. I mean, he's paid to be conservative. But a lot of the things that we talked about in our bylaw are in the bylaw that my community that I work in passed. And we've received certification from HLC and we're well into a year of having had it. So
Okay.
I don't share the same
Concerns?
And
reservations.
to be frank, the reservations he had when I said, well, almost all of these changes were proposed by you. He had far less, far less than the already
Minimal.
than the already minimal he was. So I think I bring it up for the sake because I know he mentioned it in passing at the select board meeting, and I want to make sure we're being completely forthright with the community. But it's one of those situations where bringing it up almost makes it, just by saying the word, makes it a bigger deal than it's likely to be.
No, I understand. Thank you. So this is a comment, it's not a question, but thank you for answering all my questions. I understand you as a body, you have a fiduciary duty to comply with the state and what the state does. I don't like, as the previous speaker, I don't like the state telling, towns how to zone. I mean, that's That's literally one of the very few things that towns can do and design and, understand the implications. And ironically, if you want to have more housing, more affordable housing, and Lunenburg doing a paper compliance doesn't really, fit that. And if you're against the state telling us what to do, you should be also against. But I understand your fiduciary duty of doing what you're doing. But most importantly, I want to give you guys a 10 out of 10 on engaging the public correctly. You have done conversations, you asked feedback from the public multiple times, like you said, I think last year. And, you heard what people had to say, you heard people's concern. And this is the way to do it, to really engage the public. We should not be creating bylaws and changing rules about people's house, in a conference call that's not that's not available to the public to understand that. So you guys have really hit out of the park, in my opinion, and I want to give you guys, 10 out of 10 on that. So thank you, and thank you for the work you guys do. It's not, planning board's not fun. I'm sorry, I don't think it's fun, but I appreciate you guys. So that's all. Thank you.
Thank you.
Is it bad to admit I've started enjoying learning land use?
I was going to say, this is a gas for me.
Like at some point I started finding
And
it
I
fun.
think in response to that, I think this is kind of antithetical to home rule, which us New Englanders really love. I do think that this town needs to expand the housing stock, and we need to have more than single-family homes, and we need to have lots that aren't 1 acre. But I think that that's a larger conversation, and I think that there are significant implications to that. And I think paper compliance is a way to get the state to leave us alone so that we can look at alternative methods for achieving what they want us to achieve in a way that's more appropriate for the conditions that we have.
And actually, I would say that that was the very strong feedback from the public info sessions. Everyone recognizes the housing problem in the state. Everyone in town recognizes the problem. I have 2 kids. In 10 years, my eldest is going to be graduated from college. What are the odds he's going to be able to afford to move back to his hometown? Right now, no way in heck. I can tell you that I remember when I live on Northfield Road, and I remember when my wife and I, we were living in Fitchburg, would get into the car, we'd go to Dick's, get our veggies, and we'd drive up Northfield Road and say to each other, it's too bad we'll never be able to afford to live in Lunenburg. I'll tell you what, we got lucky. We eventually did move to town, actually right near Dick's. And now, and those houses that we thought we don't know if we could ever afford them. Ooh, Nelly, since we bought that house, has the property value gone up? And I know we're not the only family in that boat. So we don't have enough housing that's affordable. And the feedback from the community was, yeah, it looks like we do need to get creative, but this isn't the way to do it. The feedback wasn't don't get creative with housing. It was, this isn't the way to do it. There's better options. And I can tell you that coming forward, especially once the master plan is wrapped, because that sentiment is echoed by the community going into the master plan, we're going to have those discussions as a community, but it's really exciting because we've shown a willingness to have those thoughtful discussions. And I'm looking forward to that coming up. Glenn, I made you stand far too long.
Good evening, Glenn McLeod, 436 Reservoir Road. I'd like to echo the previous speaker's comments about your approach. I do appreciate the frank conversations that this board has had as it relates to the MBTA Community Act. You know, it is clear, you know, from your discussions that the public is grappling with a law that very few people seem to agree with, that was brought upon us by those who we have elected to represent us. So I'll just want to ask a question, a clarifying question, I think for any of the public that may be listening for the first time, if you could describe exactly how this law that is being, you know, forced upon us that we must adopt, you know, what it places on Lunenburg in terms of a unit count, as well as describe a little bit about the by right aspect of that unit count, if we did the minimum count that we would have to zone for in Lunenburg.
We need to, and this is where it's a little tricky because it's not create new, is we need to create a zone for medium density housing that is a total of, I could look it up, is it 240 for us?
I think it's 240. I think it is, so we'll start at the beginning. The MBTA communities requires, the initial requirement was every one of the 176 MBTA communities, that's everybody who's in the T service area or adjacent to a town that has a T or commuter rail station, needs to produce a zone of a minimum of 50 acres with a parcel no less than 5 acres that allows by right, which means without the need for special permit or any other form of discretionary permit, housing at a minimum density of 15 units per acre. And so that was determined in the initial regulations promulgated by the Executive Office of Housing and Livable Communities. After all the rural communities set their hair on fire and yelled at them, they rolled it back and they looked at it, and adjacent rural communities, which is what Lunenburg is, we don't have a station, we're next to a town that does have a station, and we have a population, I think it's under 20,000, got special dispensation based on their proximity, their housing count, their population. So that rolled us back to a by right creation of 240 units, which is a minimum of 10 acres. Wait, no, not 10 acres. It's a minimum requirement. It didn't put an acreage count on it, I don't think. And so we need to create a bylaw that allows for up to 240 units to be created by right with a minimum density of 15 units per acre. It does not require that those units are ever created. It also does not require that if one were to avail themselves of the bylaw, so in the event we didn't do paper compliance and we picked a parcel in town that was vacant and said, we're going to do it here, and somebody came in and said, gee, 15 units per acre in Lunenburg, that doesn't make any sense. Financially, I can do 10 units per acre and I'm going to do this and it's going to sell better, that we would still be in compliance. So never does a unit need to be built for the town to be compliant. We just need to have a zoning bylaw that allows it to happen by right, which is essentially pulling a building permit or going through an objective public process, which site plan review or site plan approval are.
And also, to I pulled up one of the slides from the public info session, so it is on the screen behind you, that lays out this option. Now, I'm going to tell you the existing units and the described units per acre built out at 14 are incorrect numbers. When I was putting it together, those just weren't right. And that's where I gave out, I don't know the total existing count, but the 17 and 20, I believe are the correct numbers, but it's around there regardless.
204.
204, okay, great. But again, I also want to call out, Anna, to your point from earlier, you can see there just isn't room for another building. But all we've done is change that, and we don't have to add more units.
So I do agree that is a good option to stall the process. So my follow-up question would be, again, with the just going with the parameters of the law requiring Lunenburg to zone for 240 units. Could you speak to, could we limit that to one bedroom? Could we limit that to 55 and over?
No, they need to be accessible to families and with no age restriction. And accessible to families is really kind of a squishy requirement at best. But you can't age restrict and you can't bedroom restrict.
So is it fair to say that those 240 units would have to be multiple bedroom units?
Not necessarily. It doesn't say that they
Or more
have to
than
be.
one.
It says you can't require them to be.
You cannot require them to be one bedroom.
You can't require them to be limited to bedroom count.
Right, so they could be unlimited bedroom count.
Yes,
I mean,
but once you get into the physical design of a space, and if somebody wants to build all 5-bedroom apartments,
Yeah.
there are building code and health requirements, there are septic or sewage flows that are necessary, and there's a space need. So the higher the bedroom count you get, often the lower number of units you're able to put on an acre based on being able to dispose of sewerage and house people with appropriate light and air requirements and all those types of things. So it becomes kind of a balance for the person developing.
Right, so they have to be family-friendly units, cannot be restricted to one bedroom, and cannot be age-restricted.
The bylaw cannot restrict.
Right.
That wouldn't, if somebody decided, I want to get all 24 units per acre and I'm going to make them all one bedroom because that's what I need to do, the town could be like, cool.
Yeah.
But we can't tell them that that's what they have to do.
And so if we, as a town, hypothetically were to say, we don't think this is good for Lunenburg, the state would take legal action against us and withhold grants, is that true?
They
That-
will definitely withhold grants.
They will definitely withhold grants, and, I mean, history says that they will pursue legal action.
Right. Thank you very much. Again, I do appreciate the frank conversation you guys have had, the public engagement, and as you know, specifically to Adam, I appreciate his guidance and input on this board. I'm sure you guys do as well. As I joked earlier, it really is a commitment because it is like a bus driver volunteering on his free time to drive a bus. I really do appreciate your input. Thank you very much.
I think it's worth noting as well because we're using the term family-friendly a lot. And in this case, it's worth noting, now we're going for paper compliance, so it's largely irrelevant. Family-friendly being a term of design, not a term of practicality. Even if we had decided to go on a different route and just said, great, we're going to zone for 240 brand-new units, does that mean you're going to get close to 240 new families moving in? No, because overall the data and experience is pretty clear that when people move to a town like Lunenburg, if a family's going to move to Lunenburg, they're not looking at dense housing. Now, would there be exceptions? Certainly. But that doesn't mean, even in that case, that you're definitely going to be adding families. More? Sure. But it doesn't mean you're getting all families. It's a term of design so that a family could choose. In practice, many people who are going to move into that density with a family aren't going to pick Lunenburg. They're going to pick more urban, because if you're coming to Lunenburg with a family, you're likely aiming for that, a different lifestyle. All right. Do we have any other public comment? Seeing none in the room, seeing none on Zoom, I'm going to steer the board discussion into details now. And if you, frankly, it's still a public hearing, I'm not really planning on asking for more public comment tonight, but that doesn't mean you're not welcome to give public comment. Just flag me down. I just don't think we're in the exciting part now. All right.
Yourself.
All righty. Hey, board.
When's the warrant going to print?
I do not know that date off the top of my head. So if we have changes, we can certainly make them, and I can try to get them in before print.
Okay.
And if not, then they would end up a floor amendment.
Well, I guess we got a grant for this consultant, right? We didn't spend our own money.
Correct.
Good. So, you know, A, B, purpose, establishment, and applicability definitions, those are fine. My first issue is under permitted uses and the accessory uses. And if I talk too much, Amanda, just tell me to shut up so you can say what you need to say.
No, please.
Why are we referencing uses in the underlying zone in connection to this development and this special overlay district? We're creating a connection to the underlying zoning that I don't think is beneficial. We essentially are allowing multifamily units up to 26.1 units per acre. So we should just define whatever accessory uses we think should be in there. And I think I had made this comment previously, and it frustrates me that it's still phrased this way. Parking, accessory buildings for storage of maintenance equipment, bicycles, garages, whatever. I don't think there's any other accessory uses that we would want in this development. No one's raising chickens, which would be an allowed use in the underlying zoning. You know, I think if we had 26 units raising a chicken or two on their patio, that might get really interesting really quickly. So I don't want to tie the overlay district to the base zoning. I don't think it helps us.
So you are saying that you feel we should, in terms of just very practical, what we would do on the page.
Correct.
Remove section B1?
Correct. No, D2B.
Thank you.
E2B,
D.
I wish the pages were numbered. I
permitted.
feel like Matt Allison now.
Yep, okay, D2B.
As of right accessory use is appropriate to the above permitted use per section 3 of the zoning bylaw for uses allowed as of right or special permit in the underlying zoning. As of right accessory uses are as follows. Boom, 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 boom. And I don't even think a storage shed is an accessory use, it's an accessory building that's part of the primary use. I mean, I started to open the bylaws and
Okay, so
just so I could give you examples of what didn't make sense to me.
that's fair. How do you turn on track changes in Word? Been a
Go
hot minute.
to review.
Review, thank you.
I should know that, but I don't.
You never have any changes in your documents.
I'm an English professor.
I know.
I should know how to do that.
Okay, so I've made a copy in the, I've made a copy of it, and I'm gonna start editing.
Okay.
It is the same document title followed by edits. Just so everyone knows, I'm happy to handle that as we go, but, so you're saying delete D2B, correct?
Yes. Well, or modify it to, and see, that's the thing. Section 3 of our zoning bylaw has nothing to do with accessory uses. Article 4 is accessory uses, 250 for, and it's sort of outlined throughout the 4.1. So again, I mean, we're paying for something that we're not getting.
I agree. I will admit, I am kind of at the point of, as much as I want it to be quality, and I do think it's worth making changes.
Yes, I
am-
agree. I just want it to get passed.
Yeah, I am at the point of good enough is going to be good enough, because as much as I don't like handing problems to the future,
This is one that's not, I don't
Yeah.
disagree.
handing problems to people who will be working on this after I am well into retirement or dead, and leaving it, like, at some point, I'm willing to look at it and say, okay, we've done what we can. And, yeah, I wish we could be better, but
No,
circumstances have put us in a tighter spot.
I can't not be persnickety and prickly about bylaws, so.
I understand that. So I am sharing my view, but ultimately, I will be the first to say, I'm going to lean heavily on you for recommendations because you are a professional, and absent someone sitting to the right of me, who we're paying for that role, you offering to do it for free is a gift horse whose mouth I dare not look in.
The next, I think we should either delete it and just have no accessory uses, which I think is probably the cleanest way to do it.
That's what, so I have deleted that then.
Okay.
Okay. I can, you know what? Let me share.
So my next comment is on G2I. So if you have anything before that.
No, I'm just looking quickly. Okay, I'm going to,
Looks like you have another notification too.
like I have a notification?
I'm just looking at your screen in the back.
I don't have that note. That is PAC's view, not mine.
Ah, I see.
My view is here. So, no, yeah, that's confusing. But I will share my screen then as we make
Okay.
edits. Just, I have to edit. I can't edit in Word. I have to edit in the web browser because of,
Stuff.
because Word is my account.
Yes.
The web browser
Is the
is
town's.
the town's account. And God forbid,
Yep, so G2I, which is stormwater management,
G2I,
the final sentence says, additional requirements under the town of Lunenburg MS4 permit. The developer would not be complicit in the town's MS4 permit because that governs the town's municipal separate storm sewer system. They would be complicit in the town's stormwater bylaw. And that's what this should read, is that, oh, it is in there, as amended, and if applicable, okay. That's what I get for trying to read this on my phone, that's fine.
was that you very quietly correcting him? Because that's what it sounded like, and that was,
Me? I didn't even say anything.
oh, see, you're in my dead ear, so I get.
I think they were leaving.
Oh, okay,
No, she told me to shut up, I had it wrong.
no, that's what, I hear quiet feminine voices. I do not have directional hearing, because I only have one ear that works. Therefore, I'm like, oh, it must be,
I think it might have been Mr. McLeod. I believe he was the.
I usually associate Mr. McLeod with a quiet feminine voice. That is, in fact, a frequent descriptor I use for him never. Okay.
My next comment is just my own mania, so we can skip that.
Your own,
No, don't skip it.
It's G4, which is the building shared outdoor space. Multifamily housing shall have common outdoor space that all residents can access. Such, that's fine. 'Cause can be equally accessible for all residents. Again, I did most of this quickly on my phone before the meeting, so.
did you want equally accessible?
No, because it's in there, which all residents can access.
Oh, okay.
That's fine. Then we jump down to 6 for waivers. I think that should say that may waive the requirements of section 250-419G, general development standards, with a finding that the requested waivers serve a public good.
Okay. What I think I will do is, that works, because that makes it big enough that you can read it from.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I just think that just arbitrarily saying we can waive them doesn't, and this isn't necessarily an objective standard, and I understand it can be problematic, but I think having something in there for the board to lean on gives.
I was about to say, it sends a communication to future boards what we are looking, what we mean.
Yeah. Under J, which is site plan review.
I asked that to be approved.
Okay, well, I was gonna say there's an inconsistency because it says approval in some places and review in others. So I just want consistency. I don't care what you call it.
Do we have any concern that site plan approval will not be interpreted as by right, which feels dumb to me?
No.
I've heard that concern brought up. It doesn't feel good to me because we do site plan approval on by right uses all the time.
Correct. It's as long as there are objective standards.
Okay, I am going to,
Part of the problem is this doesn't give any real standards. But
how do you spell approval? Let's pretend I know how to spell words. Is it 2 P's or 1?
2.
It is, I'm like, wait, it's red, it's got a red underline. Yes, because it's attached to another word because of how this got, how the edit works.
I really don't like J2B. It's just so mealy-mouthed. Like, it doesn't give us any real teeth to require submission. I think it's probably late in the game, and it's probably good enough for what we're talking about, but it's appalling that someone would write this as the standards for what gets submitted for site plan review.
Okay. I will be there in a moment. I am still going through every instance I can find of the word review and putting in approval, because counting on myself later to get that correct is,
You just do a find.
Yeah, I was gonna say that.
I am going to do that, but I'm trying to do it visually first just because of the,
You're on a roll.
yeah.
I get it.
Oh, I'll see what I did. Lindsay, my blushing bride, has observed over the years that I work on a cue. My brain is absolutely first in, first out. So once I start a task a certain way, I'm going to keep doing it until I'm done because it is just wonderful.
The spicy-brained version of
Very much
how
so.
you work.
Yes. Okay. And because she was a CS major, cues and first in, first out are very
Yeah.
apt descriptors in my house. There. I can do a check later to make sure we got them all, but that's fine. And you said you also had a concern with which section?
No, I mean, J2B, I have a concern. I think it's just a
Point.
really poor,
Site plans that show the position of the building on the site, points of vehicular access to and from the site, and vehicular circulation on the site, stormwater management utilities, and landscape treatments include, oh my God, would you stop popping up your extra? I don't know why everywhere I click, it brings up that same box.
I mean, my issue is that it doesn't give standards for what's on the plan, who does what. And again, I'm being picky, and at this point, it's good enough because I would spend 3 hours here with us
Okay.
ferreting out what needs to be in there, and I don't want to do that, and you don't want to do that.
At 10:30, we have to have a vote regardless.
Correct. And I know I would lose that. I would,
Look, I'll sit here till 2 in the morning making changes if we want. She's the one we got to convince.
we would overrule her.
No, I
Exactly.
think, do we not still need quorum?
Oh, we
Wait.
do. She could just get up and
Listen,
leave.
I'll walk out. I've said
Exactly.
that before. I will walk out. I don't care.
And that's really the long and short of it for here. I mean, I could get really, really technical and specific, but I think we're at a point where we're good enough to get where we need to be.
I will point out that we are now definitely at the point that Mr. McLeod is the remaining public. Not just in this room, but online. So, I actually do want to take that as a moment, though, to turn to the board and say, evidence we've done it right, in all seriousness. And I want to turn to the board, and I want to turn out to the previous iterations of this board. To Mr. Allison, who's not on the board any longer, to Mr. Wilsmore, who's not here tonight, to Mr. McLeod, who was on the board for part of this and then betrayed us to join the select board. But what I really, he was smiling when I said that. You all at home can't see it. It's okay. But I really want to sincerely say thank you to the board members here, to the previous board members, for engaging in this process the way we did. It shows trust in the community that we haven't wrapped up the public hearing, or trust from the community, that we haven't wrapped up for the public hearing for MBTA community bylaw, and there's very few people here. I actually often, I wish there were more. I get it.
Yeah.
People have said their piece and they feel comfy. We're lucky, and we're lucky to have this town. All right. Amanda, do you have any other thoughts on this?
I don't. I appreciated what Adam said about, was it D2B? That makes sense. I think that one was a little vague when it says as of right accessory. So I think either omitting that piece or making it more specific makes sense.
I think we killed that.
Yeah, I think you killed it.
I did?
Yeah.
Okay, great, yeah. No, I'm good with that. Yeah. So, do we, okay, so do we want, I'll solicit public comment one more time before we talk about being done with it. Is there any more public comment? Glenn? No, he's not getting up. We're safe. Okay. And I'll totally admit, Adam, I knew you'd be here, so I didn't bother looking up the proper procedure on this one. So,
Well, I move we close the hearing on the MBTA communities.
and we can still
Zoning bylaw.
close them. Okay, so
Second.
moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I move that the planning board recommend favorably to town meeting the adoption of, why did I put it away? Section 250-419, the multifamily overlay district.
Second.
Moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. I made some edits here tonight. We may be able to get, do we have to make any motion to get that as our version into the warrant?
I
If they
would,
can?
I'll amend my motion to be as amended tonight.
Okay.
And if it can't make it into the warrant, we can bring it to town meeting and do it on the floor.
Okay.
Second.
Yep. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Woo! All right. That is good. That is all set. I will, tomorrow morning, I believe it's tomorrow morning. Let me just, because I want to do it ASAP if we can. Okay, yeah. Tomorrow morning, I can get that together and send it over to Jen if we can. And if not, then we'll have it ready for a floor amendment.
I mean, it needs to be in the mail by the 6th, no, I'm sorry, the 4th, because it needs to be, no, it needs to land on the 4th, because we need to get it 14 days before.
So I'm betting we're past print.
My guess is it's at print?
We are past print? So this would be a floor amendment.
That's fine.
I don't think there'll be, yeah, I don't expect that will be an issue. Okay, great. Killing that, I'm going to pull up our warrant article change, and I'm going to put it on the screen nice and big for those who watch this later at home or those who are watching now but aren't on Zoom. And for you two as well, I'm going to make it a little bigger. There we go. Deleting, again, for the sake of our friends at home, because the board has talked about this at a meeting previously, just kind of came up as, oh, we should do that. In our original conception for the common driveways bylaw that came out year-ish ago, we originally weren't intending to require pavement for the common driveways. It found its way in through various revisions, changes in planners. Not a problem. But when an applicant came forward and was like, we have to do this, we were surprised. The goal wasn't to do that because, frankly, it can be more affordable on a really long common driveway to do gravel or something, and that's fine.
It can also be more environmentally friendly.
Yes.
It can be a more rural appearance. There's a lot of reasons that you could use a variety of surface treatments that would meet the standard in the first sentence.
And those examples are going into my one-slide presentation for this. And yeah, so it's just getting rid of the 3-inch minimum thickness of bituminous concrete, or as you would say, as most of us would say, just blacktop or asphalt. That's it. I'm going to welcome public comment. Hearing none. A few of us have been wondering if this could be the sleeper controversial one somehow. Like there's always that surprise. Like, wouldn't it be a real surprise if this was the controversy at town meeting?
Well, I think the benefit of having that, if one were to make an argument for it, would be it would likely restrict development because it would impose a cost that would damage developers' profits or require that they build units that were wildly priced above what was reasonable in other places.
At the cost of, frankly, more stormwater issues, which is,
Yeah, I don't know that it's a great argument.
but yeah, no, I hear you. Fair. All right. Board, do we have any discussion on this?
Nope, I move we close the public hearing on the common driveway amendment.
Second?
Moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
I move that we recommend favorably to town meeting the passage of the removal of language from the common driveways bylaw.
Second.
Moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right. That would be our public hearings. Give me one moment to rejigger my windows. There we go. Okay. We have no decisions to look at tonight. Board discussions. Again, we removed from the agenda the APDC Historical Commission because that's not going to be on the warrant. Two quick board discussions for tonight. First one, do we want to meet 3 days before Christmas?
No, I won't be in town.
I'm fine with that. I don't know if I'll be in town, but if I am in town, I'm like leaving the next day, so. Great. I assume that would be the answer, but rather than presuming, I wanted to turn to the board, and I knew I could email, but I also knew I could just ask us here. Great. And the next item on the agenda is certificate of vote authorizing signatures pursuant to MGLC 110G.
So I brought this up, Mr. Chair, and I guess I'll start with, we may want to wait until at least Mr. Wilsmer is here. Do we have any idea if we'll have another member anytime soon?
I could check with the, I believe, so there was planned for us to have, there is at least one application, to my knowledge.
Okay.
In for the talent bank. We had plans to have a joint meeting with the select board that I think failed to materialize just due to the chaos of everything else going on. So I don't know where that stands, if there are still people who are interested or not. I can follow up on that.
We should, because I think it would be great to have 5 folks
Yes,
vote on
it
this. But what this would do is, through COVID, the Commonwealth and the registries set forth that municipal boards can digitally sign approvals and have them become recordable at the registry. But the town needs to adopt the language in this certificate of vote that I sent to Jen from the town of Sudbury. So I would put forward that this may be a beneficial thing for this board to adopt, especially having seen the trouble with not having folks in the office or having decisions prepared on time for meetings. It removes some of that necessity because we only have 14 days in some instances to record our decision after the vote has been made, and this would allow us to sign at our leisure and get those back out to the clerk within that time period. And it would, I believe the town is moving towards a DocuSign or something similar to that, and it will allow us to use that to endorse our decisions.
I love that because getting people in to sign docs is hard. And I don't fault anyone for that. Swinging by town buildings during business hours isn't always easy. I can't think of why this would be controversial.
Yeah, I don't think it is.
Yeah, yes, we could wait for Tim. We could wait till we have another board member. We also have quorum here tonight.
True.
And if 3 of us agree, that's enough to make decisions. And I'm going to gamble that Mr. Wilsmer will not be upset about it. And if he is and has a really good point, we could vote later and change it.
Okay.
And I'm not going to, one person who may or may not be on the committee in the future, and I don't know who it is, I'm just not,
That's fair.
I'm not worried about that. Again, if they have a concern, we can revisit the vote, but I think it's much more likely, well, we can just save time and move forward.
Okay.
What is the, do we just need to vote saying we do want to do this and then?
Yeah, we need to make a motion and then vote.
Well, if someone knew the motion to make.
So I move that the Lunenburg Planning Board recognizes and accepts the provisions of MGL Chapter 110G regarding electronic signatures, and that its members will henceforth execute documents either with electronic signatures or with wet ink signatures, and that both will carry the same legal weight and effect.
I will second.
Moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, great. Full agreement. That makes sense. Abutting community notices. You saw something in the SharePoint. Don't worry about it. That was one abutting community notice came in, and Brian just put it in because he went, "Oh, you have a section for that." And it's completely, I don't even remember what it is, but it is inconsequential to life in Lunenburg.
Okay.
So when you look in the file and see it, it's,
Yeah.
okay, committee reports. Master Plan Steering Committee. I can say that last week, the Master Plan Steering Committee had its final public info session. There were 16 members of the public there, many of them also members of the steering committee, unsurprising, but not all of them, not at all. There's some more discussions to be had, but overall, I can tell you that the input from the townspeople remains consistently in the same direction and consistently from day one, delightfully unsurprising. Lunenburg doesn't have enough housing that's affordable. Lunenburg could do more to keep housing, to keep seniors in housing where appropriate. Lunenburg could stand to have its walkable areas be more walkable. We love our farms. We understand the future of farming will likely look different. It would be good to have economic growth. And it gets more specific than that. But it is all very much, it reflects those of us who have been plugged into the town. It's what we've seen. It's what we know the community feels overall. There's still some more steps to go. They're still bringing in feedback from some of the boards. They would love ours. They know that I'm going to try to get us to look at their questions again and talk about it a little more at our next meeting. I made it clear to them we weren't doing it tonight, and that full agreement from them. They understand that we had other fish to fry. That process is overall moving forward well. The master plan is going to have a lot of general from discussions with the consultants, with over-under, et cetera. Over-under, Innis Associates, and RKG. I mean, they're all contributing. I should name them all by name. But to my understanding, we're going to be looking at a final document that has a lot of recommendations, that doesn't have a lot of hyper-specific recommendations, and that's fine and good, in part because, wow, the sands are shifting fast, and they're going to keep doing that as development comes. Even as we've talked about being the third fastest growing state or community in the state, we have been for a long time. Don't know for sure, but it suddenly looks like we're not. Development's slowed down.
All the easy land is gone.
Yep, and there's different economic pressures on the developers. I don't know what you're seeing otherwise, but that may change, it may not.
People are developing whatever they can get where I work because
Okay.
the average home value, the median home assessment is 1.3. So there's a fair amount of incentive for a builder to find a piece of land and build something.
If we can get the medium home assessment in Lunenburg to 1.3, Lindsay and I can retire early. Well, if we move.
Did you share my feedback with?
I have not had a sit-down with them since, and so that's now upcoming.
Okay.
Again, with sincere apologies to the board, but it is only so much of an apology. I have hit the limits of what one human can be doing, and
Yeah, it was more of a curiosity.
Yeah. Oh, I understand that, but I want to be forthright, and that's, Rami and I are working on kind of getting back together and chatting more. But I have hit the limit of hours in the day and
Yeah,
energy a human body
Yep.
can produce. But overall, there's been positive moves forward, and that committee is getting feedback. And I think while I and others have at times struggled with, it can be hard to discuss planning with a group of citizens who don't live and breathe it. And me being one of the ones educating them is great, except as we know, I only play a planner on TV. In the real world, I'm just a guy who likes to wear blazers. But we're getting there. Open Space Committee. I don't know if they've met, but I shared the news from them, and we'll hear from them next meeting. Municipal Building Design Committee has continued to meet. We are, this week, touring the town buildings to see the offices functioning. Yes, this happened before, but there's new people on the committee.
I was going to say, it's like the hit parade. I think we're on the third cycle of this.
I know. A lot of the thought right now, describe to us what the general thought was before about likely something like turn first floor into open open convertible meeting space. This might be PAC. Turn Ritter into a straight-up two-story structure. The schools have voiced a feeling that they would rather not be co-located with town government.
Okay.
So the trick is that the schools need the ACE program co-located with the Director of Special Services, because the Director of Special Services is the overseer for that program. And again, understandably, the superintendent would like the Director of Special Services co-located with her. Makes sense. But then working the ACE program, which is a program that's more about daily living in a house and whatnot, into the same building as town services. Less so, and the new superintendent has voiced that she would rather be co-located with schools and kids, which I've heard arguments in both directions from superintendents over the years, and that's perfectly valid. I mean, yes. So there's talk about basically, could we do the project a lot smaller by getting rid of the annex at Ritter and turning, because the annex creates so many problems, and turn it in with a similar footprint overall, but into a two-story structure all the way across. The big feedback is no more lifts, elevators. If we're going to build and there seems to be universal agreement on that, if we're going to build buildings, we should be, even if we're trying to save money, we need to be shelling out for actual elevators, because the people who need that accessibility feature deserve to actually ride in something that feels safe and like it won't break down.
That lift gets stuck a lot.
This one in the corner was down for a few weeks, is my understanding. So
My former colleague had been stuck in both multiple times.
yeah. So, but it's not, it's not just, oh, we should get a new one. It's, no, it should be an elevator.
Yeah.
And there is a strong feeling on that committee that we should be putting at least from some members, and there's not pushback against it, accessibility should be at the forefront of our thoughts.
Yeah.
Yeah. Not just let's meet ADA, which is robust now, but
No,
let's do it in a
truly
way that.
accessible.
Yes, which I'm all for. So there's progress there. I sure hope we come to a meaningful decision. Anyway, we'll see. Capital Planning Committee begins capital planning season in earnest on Wednesday night. That's when we begin hearing all the feedback from departments. And it is understood that despite our efforts to be a capital planning committee, this year we will be much more of a capital ranking committee again because there's enough other moving parts. The committee continues to want to make that shift, and we keep taking baby steps, but in practice, there's a lot going on. Economic Development Committee had a wonderful town government meet and greet. Very successful. It was really nice to see the schools made a point of having a presence there. Multiple police officers showed up. And what this is just showing is they've managed to make an event that town government values and that the business community values. We did have new up-and-coming business owners there. We had established business owners there. There were business owners saying, hey, you know what? I'd like to be the business that hosts this next year. So congratulations to Josie Gilchrist as this is her brainchild, and she's now the chair of the EDC. And congratulations to the rest of the EDC. This has, 3 years in a row, ever increasing relevancy. It's become a thing in town. And the feedback from the town government people and from the business owners and potential business owners is that they really appreciate it. Stormwater Task Force, Tim's not here. MRPC, we have not been able to go to meetings for you.
That's okay. It's all right. There's 2 more for the rest of the year, so.
Okay.
November and December, and then I can start doing them again.
Yep, and then if,
Thanksgiving?
No, it's, right?
No, it's the week before, right?
No, I think it's, MRPC is the
Third.
first Thursday.
Oh, the first.
The
I thought it was the
first.
third.
First Thursday.
So it's next week.
Yeah.
maybe I can make that one, I'll look and see.
I'll send an email once I get.
Okay, the Montechusett Marijuana Cigarette Transportation Committee. Oh, sorry, Joint Transportation Committee.
Whoa.
Look, it's 8:30, I got news.
Cooked.
Yeah, you've got punch drunk me. Dear friends who don't know, punch drunk is a term for when you're silly because you're tired, not because you're actually drunk. I feel like,
Or punched.
Oh my
Or-
gosh, See, somebody's gonna watch this and be like, the planning board is off the rails.
I am off. I got news. They haven't watched many of our other meetings then. This is how I talk. But please, go on.
We met earlier this month, nothing pertinent to Lunenburg, a lot of other towns having work done. George Kahale from Mart retired
Oh,
officially. So there's that little bit of news. Happy trails to George.
good for him.
Yeah, other than that, not much to report.
Okay, great. Minutes approval, there's minutes listed, but when I was putting them in today, I saw some critical information was missing, such as who made some motions. And I certainly did not have the time to go back and watch videos to figure it out. So until we have someone go through and do that, it will happen as quickly as reasonable. Meeting schedule. Upcoming meetings include November 10th, November 24th, and December 8th are our final 3 meetings for the year. Do we want or need, I don't think we do myself, but I'm asking, do we want to schedule a meeting for immediately before special town meeting to discuss our bylaws if we need to? I don't think we will need to.
I don't think we'll need to.
See,
I don't know that I could make it directly before either.
okay, I'm fine with that. There are times that we've had bylaws and held that option. I don't see the need or value in this case. Board comment concerns. I am going to be moving a board comment to the start of the meeting as well. I don't know why it's not there. It always feels weird we bring this up only at the end. But yeah, board comment or concerns.
November 24th meeting, I might not be able to attend.
Okay,
I'll probably know more by the November 10th.
Is that the Monday before Thanksgiving?
yeah.
Chicago.
I'd like, if we can as a group maintain the meeting, that would be good.
Yeah.
We'll see, just because we're trimmed a lot of meetings this year due to calendar, like this time of year due to calendar.
I might suggest that we shift the 8th to the 15th if we can do that. If we're not going to do the 22nd, to not create a long gap between December and January.
That could make a lot of sense.
I'm not necessarily adamant about it, I just
Oh, no, it makes sense.
be a singular meeting in December.
Let me, yeah, I will,
If you would send out an email at some point and say, we're not going to meet on the 22nd, does this make sense to everybody? Not to assign you duties, but.
that is like, unlike much of what I've had to do, that is squarely within the job I'm actually supposed to do. Like, that is literally one of the few things in my job description.
Are you done with your comments and concerns?
That's it, yep.
So I know I said earlier in jest that we should tell the bylaw committee that we want to rewrite the whole bylaw. That wasn't necessarily jest. I really do think that our bylaw is a hot mess and really does need to be scrapped and rebuilt. I agree, I don't think that's in the bylaw committee's realm, but I also think that putting it in written record and giving folks an understanding of why it needs to be done is important and can give us some credence in the years to come to getting money from town meeting or other sources to hire a consultant to do that, because it's not a job I think would make sense to do in-house.
What I'd like to do is I will put together something written for next meeting.
Okay.
And then we can look at it. If we make any changes we want, vote, and I will send that on to them.
Okay.
And that way we can get that ball rolling, because I am in full agreement. Because that's going to be a bigger project with consultants, et cetera. But yes, and as soon as we have someone sitting here, I've told us all in email, but just saying it for the public too. Richard Harris is again being employed by the town as our interim consultant, interim land use manager. And I mean, what we stopped working with him previously only due to limits on how many hours he could work for the town, not out of like any problem with that working relationship. And so he is back, same as we didn't go right back to him because he had things that prevented him from working for the town for a bit. And he is available, so we are working with him. And with the calendar year switching coming up, that should buy us a good amount of time. All right, and I'm always hopeful that we'll fill this soon. I think, go back to the agenda, that is it, unless there's other board comment or concerns. Great.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Moved and seconded, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Friends, it is 8:41. Thank you for joining us tonight. I hope you have a wonderful evening, and we'll see you in a couple weeks. Take care.